Hey everyone, welcome back to Town City State. In today's video, we'll be checking out some of the best stops on Interstate 10, from west to east, starting in Santa Monica, California. Whether you're traveling west to east or east to west, you're going to want to visit Santa Monica on your I-10 road trip. But my main recommendations aren't going to be just to visit the pier or the Ferris wheel or Muscle Beach. The best areas to explore in Santa Monica are the 3rd Street Promenade downtown, Montana Avenue, and the Ocean Park neighborhood, particularly just Main Street. Downtown Santa Monica is one of the most bike and pedestrian friendly parts of the country, where you can find some really great underrated shopping and dining establishments. There's a farmer's market held here on Wednesdays and Saturdays, and you can honestly spend a good couple hours just walking around the 3rd Street Promenade, Palisades Park, and just the downtown area in general. Montana Ave on the north side of town offers a more low-key vibe with some of the best local dining and artisan shopping in the Los Angeles area. There are plenty of little coffee shops, restaurants, bookstores, and the street overall is just a great place to hang out on this road trip stop. Finally, Main Street is where you can find even more LA hidden gems. It's kind of a hipster area filled with brew pubs, local coffee shops, and other artisan provisioners. Be sure to check out Heavy Handed Burgers for an excellent West Coast smash burger, as well as Narwhal Coffee Co. for some great coffee, tea, and matcha lattes, and Holy Grail Donuts for some decadent treats as well. The city is filled with parks and green space, and a couple of museums to check out too, if you have the time. Those would be the California Heritage Museum and the Santa Monica History Museum. Okay, heading just a few miles east to our next stop, it's of course Los Angeles. Now I won't go over this must-stop city too in-depth in this video, and I recommend checking out my video on the top 10 neighborhoods in Los Angeles if you need an idea of the best places to hang out there. But I'll highlight a few noteworthy museums and areas in a rapid-fire sequence. The Getty Museum is a must-stop in the city. Just a great place to spend the day, and a lot of great art and history and scenery. And you'll have the pleasure of taking a monorail from the parking area to the museum, which is pretty unique. The Broad downtown is a great contemporary art museum as well. And while you're in downtown, you might as well check out the Last Bookstore and the Arts District. The Autry Museum of the American West is a great museum, if they have all their exhibits open. Griffith Park and the Griffith Observatory, Peterson Automotive Museum, and the LA County Museum of Art are all great stops depending on the amount of time you'll be spending. And I suggest a lot. Of course, the reason I'm keeping this one shorter than the rest is that I already have and will continue to make videos diving deeper into Los Angeles. It's probably the city I'm most familiar with in the US by a long shot. But there are a ton of great neighborhoods, sporting events, museums, and more in the City of Angels. So it's definitely worth a stop on this I-10 road trip, and that goes without saying. If you have a little extra time and are willing to venture a few miles off Interstate 10, definitely check out one of my favorite cities in the country, Pasadena, and its historical and cultural landmarks as well. Driving east out of Los Angeles and out of the state of California, entering Arizona, our next stop is the city of Phoenix, and a few of its suburbs that I actually enjoy spending time in slightly more than Phoenix itself, if I'm honest. But as far as Phoenix goes, definitely be sure to check out Roosevelt Row. It's just a great up-and-coming urban neighborhood, great for stretching your legs on a road trip with some walking, shopping, and eating. The Phoenix Art Museum and the Heard Museum are Phoenix's two world-class museums, in my opinion, and definitely worth checking out. But perhaps my favorite museum in the metro area is in nearby Scottsdale, also on I-10, and it's the Scottsdale Museum of the West. It has an emphasis on Native American art and artifacts, and it's just criminally underrated as far as museums go. There was almost no one when I last visited on a rainy day in January of 2024, and it definitely deserves more attention. The city of Scottsdale has a ton of fun stuff to do in its own right. Old Town and downtown Scottsdale are great places to walk around with some amazing dining and dessert choices. My favorites are Citizen Public House, a great gastropub, and the nation's best ice cream chain, Jenny's Splendid Ice Cream. If you're a donut fan though, definitely check out Chin Up Donuts. I mean, come on. Just look at these things. The last worthwhile city I recommend stopping at along I-10 through the Phoenix metro area is the city of Gilbert. I love the vibes in Gilbert, especially on their farmers market days, where literally 100+ vendors convene to offer the community great food and really great crafts. But walking down Gilbert Road was the cherry on top for me, because there's just so much great food, and on a cool, sunny day in January, it's really hard to beat. Culinary Dropout, Joe's Real Barbecue, and Postino East stand out as some culinary favorites in Gilbert worth checking out. Honorable mentions go out to Tempe, Chandler, and Mesa. Not places I would take time to stop out on a road trip, but if you're in Phoenix for a week, yeah, those cities are worth checking out too. Leaving the Phoenix metro area, but staying in the state of Arizona, we arrive at the small town of Willcox, Arizona. With a population of only 3,200 residents, this is by far the smallest town and quickest stop on this part of the I-10 road trip. But Willcox is definitely worth the stop. The area of the city near the historic Railroad Avenue Park is noteworthy for its preserved turn-of-the-century historic buildings, history museum, and historic theater, which actually plays the latest current releases. Additionally, Willcox is a great night stop on this stretch of the interstate because, to be honest, there's not much between Phoenix and our next stop. And Willcox offers local and regional hotel chains, such as the Holiday Inn and Days Inn. Willcox's nightlife is also noteworthy, if you're up for that sort of thing on your interstate road trip. For such a small town, Willcox is full of bars and restaurants, and even wine tasting venues. Overall, Willcox is a great stop if you're interested in experiencing a taste of history and some wine on your I-10 road trip. Leaving Arizona and entering the great state of New Mexico, our next stop is Las Cruces. You may not have heard much about this town, but Las Cruces is the second biggest city in the state of New Mexico, and it's a great one at that. On your stop, definitely spend a good chunk of time exploring around Main Street and around the Plaza de las Cruces. It's an up-and-coming part of town with some new breweries, coffee shops, a weekly farmers market, and record stores even. Not only that, Main Street is where you can also find the city's Museum of Nature and Science and Art Museum, so it's really just the best place to spend your time here in Las Cruces. And new businesses are opening up in rapid succession every month, so it's only going to get better from here. The city has an extensive rail history, and if you're in the mood for a more unique museum on this interstate stop, definitely check out the Las Cruces Railroad Museum. And of course, where I-25 converges onto I-10 on the south end of the city, you'll find New Mexico State University, a great place to walk around and explore, as well as perhaps catch a Division I sporting event. Most of the name brand hotels and food chains can be found near there as well, if you're looking for an efficient stop on this I-10 road trip. Moving out of New Mexico and into the great state of Texas, honorable mention to El Paso, but our first stop in Texas on I-10 is going to be San Antonio. San Antonio is not only a great road trip stop, but a great place to spend a week's vacation, similar to a couple other cities on this best stops list. It's a great stop due in part to its rich blend of history, diverse culture, and vibrant atmosphere. The city boasts a plethora of unique restaurants, such as the iconic Mexican cuisine at Mi Tierra Cafe y Panderia, sorry if I butchered that, or the innovative dishes at the upscale supper at Hotel Emma in the trendy Pearl District. Definitely a mouthful. Also, what is it with cities and their up-and-coming hipster walkable neighborhoods being named the Pearl District? Perhaps a question worth exploring in a future video. Speaking of exploring, be sure to check out neighborhoods such as Southtown for its bohemian and artistic vibe, with its trendy galleries, boutiques, coffee shops, and the popular First Friday Art Walk. The historic King William District is lined with picturesque Victorian homes, adding a touch of charm to an already charming San Antonio road trip stop. San Antonio's cultural scene is enriched by museums like the McNay Art Museum, housed in a Spanish colonial revival mansion, and the quirky Buckhorn Saloon and Texas Ranger Museum, showcasing the state's Wild West history. Speaking of, San Antonio is where you can find the Alamo, the most infamous symbol of Texas independence, and everyone has at least seen or heard of San Antonio's unique Riverwalk. And while it's become just a bit too touristy, lined with one too many rainforest cafes, Bubba Gum Shrimps, and Joe's Crab Shacks, I do think it's worth checking out at least once in a lifetime, because it really is a great example of how a city can integrate water into the urban fabric in a cohesive and fun way. And the area really is San Antonio's main artery, if I'm honest. The city's distinctive blend of Texan, Mexican, and Spanish influences truly make it a must-stop Interstate 10 road trip destination. Our last stop on this part of our I-10 road trip series is the city of Houston. Houston is infamous for its super wide highways, distinctive zoning laws, or lack thereof, and the fact that its size rivals that of the state of Rhode Island. All joking aside though, Houston is definitely worth a stop on this I-10 road trip, obviously. And right off the bat, the city's culinary scene is a highlight, with renowned restaurants like Brennan's of Houston serving up delicious Creole-inspired dishes, and the BBQ joints in the Heights, such as Gatlin's BBQ, providing a mouth-watering taste of Southeast Texas. Trendy neighborhoods like Montrose showcase eclectic boutiques, art galleries, and a lively nightlife scene, while the aforementioned Heights neighborhood offers historic charm with its bungalow-style houses and hip cafes. The Museum District is a treasure trove for art enthusiasts, featuring the Museum of Fine Arts, the Contemporary Arts Museum of Houston, and the Houston Museum of Natural Science. The Space Center Houston provides an out-of-this-world experience, celebrating the city's connection to NASA and space exploration. population. The city also shines with its excellent parks and recreation network, especially with Memorial Park and the other surrounding green spaces and parks along the Buffalo Bayou, stretching from the great uptown neighborhood of Houston all the way to downtown. There's so much development and urbanization going on in Houston, and it's really exciting to see what the fourth biggest city in the US is transforming into in the modern day. Overall, Houston's dynamic blend of culinary delights, trendy neighborhoods, diverse museums, and cultural richness makes it an unforgettable and unique stop for any I-10 road trip. But that's all for part 1 of this I-10 road trip series. Unlike my I-70 road trip series, this is only going to be a two-parter, as will my future best stop road trip series, just taking a more streamlined approach. Anyway, I'll catch you right back here next week for part 2, so like and subscribe so you don't miss out on that or any future interstate series. I'll see you in the next one on Town, City, State.